Our guest Rainmaker is Shalton Mothwa, who originates from Hammanskraal, north of Pretoria. His educational background is in electronics from the Northwest University, nuclear physics from UJ, grid computing from Russia. He was an intern at Nuclear Energy Corporation of South Africa for a year. In 2012, he founded Epoch Microchips Pty Ltd to power mobile devices remotely using wireless power from telecommunications signals in any geolocation in time. Their products are Aeon Power Lamp, Aeon Access Remote Controls, and Aeon Power Bag. Shalton has traveled with the Hookup Dinner team to Rwanda in East Africa in the past to pitch for the Africa finals of a global investment competition called Get in the Ring. He's won numerous awards from various high-level competitions. His meticulous approach to the game of entrepreneurship is something to marvel at. I'd like to welcome Shalton Mothwa. Come and take a seat, young man.
How are you tonight, Shalton?
I'm fine, and yourself?
Not too bad, thank you. So let's start this quite easy. You find yourself as quite the intellectual. I mean, you found a way to harvest radio airwaves to charge cell phones, laptops, tablets. What is the journey? Who is Shalton Mothwa? How do you find yourself coming across the opportunities that you found yourself in now?
Okay, I would firstly like to thank the Hookup Dinner for giving me this opportunity to come and share some of my experiences through the journey. As they've already introduced me, I'm Shalton Mothwa from Hammanskraal. I was born in the East Rand. Then we stayed in Johannesburg for almost 3 years. Then went to Mpumalanga, went to Pretoria. So all these things started when I was doing my BSc in electronics back in Northwest University, when they introduced a course in microcontrollers, your microchips, and power electronics, the stuff you use to power your devices. So back then I didn't know I was going to be an entrepreneur, I was going to be in business. I never knew I was going to work and so forth. I was just interested in solving problems. Each and every problem in electronics I came across, I was interested in solving it. Then when I came back to the City of Gold, I enrolled for an honors in nuclear physics. It was quite a challenge. Then what happened during that era, I had a laptop and a cell phone, not a smartphone, a cell phone that had issues with battery and not working well and so forth. It was an electronic problem. So I was experiencing that problem. It was a personal problem. So then I started thinking about how can we solve this problem of batteries running out and low quality electronics devices. That's when I started thinking about it. With my background in electronics and physics, electromagnetic spectrums, then I thought, okay, maybe we can replace the battery itself and come up with something completely new. Then since then, that's when all this started.
And did you have a team around you? How did you go through with the development of the idea? I mean, it sounds like you identified a problem, and from there you realized that there's a huge opportunity here for you. So what were some of the first steps that you took in realizing that if this is going to become a reality, what were some of the first steps that you took in formalizing your business?
Okay, when all this started, I never thought it would be a business to start with. I didn't know how to monetize it. I didn't know who to speak to and how to approach funders and so forth. So what happened is it was a personal problem as someone who likes to solve things in mathematics and physics. So I sat with the problem for almost a year and a half. Then when we found the solution with one of the guys I was working with, he quit. Then when he quit, then I said, okay, maybe let's look for funding to expand. I didn't know I was expanding by then. Let's expand, look for fund, maybe we can build a business around. Then what I did was, I was alone by then. Then I took some of my bursaries or scholarship money and went to Adams and Adams. Then when I got there, they told me the amount of money you have, just keep it to yourself. But the guy I met, his name is Theo, then he started discussing about IP, how to protect, what you should do and how you should do it. So some of the things I've learned from that, when you have an idea on its own, it's like a droplet in the ocean. So you cannot sell it to anyone, no one will listen to you. And it costs nothing to come up with an idea. So what happened is he told me about IP search. You should do your IP search. When you are done, the next step is to do IP landscaping, where you check the landscape of the idea you have and the approach. Then when you're done with that, you do your competitor analysis. Then from there, that's when you can start working on the embodiment of the service or the product. So from there, I knew there was something called the value chain. I'm a scientist, by the way, I don't know these things. The value chain, then from there, I went and looked for funds, and for someone who can teach me about the value chain, how it works, whom I can partner with. Then I looked for funding, I went to the Innovation Hub, I went all over the show, I was turned down because no one knew what I was talking about. So, then I got an advice from one of the guys, one of the top guys, Andile Ngaba. We spoke at the Global Entrepreneur Conference that was held in East London. He told me, as a scientist, you should write or convey your message in the simplest term, so that even when a grade 4 learner reads, they will understand what you're talking about. Then that's when I started applying and refining my idea. Then I came across Technology Innovation Agency. I applied about 4 times, I was rejected. Then for the 5th time, I went there in person. Then after sitting down, I came up with a 2-slide presentation with no weights, before and after. Then after that, what I did, I put the presentation in the application form. It was as simple as possible, then it was accepted. Then in that program, the YTIF, they taught us about the value chain, how it works, how you should go about building a business from an idea, so that you can be de-risked and people can invest in whatever you're trying to achieve.
So I'm of the understanding that when someone is willing to pay you for something, you've got a business on your hands. As in somebody's actually willing to pay you to do this, you've got a business. So how did you know that that was when you were expanding? What were some of the signs that you saw that I've actually now got to start investing in getting this product to market?
Okay, as an entrepreneur, I think you should go. Most of us are scared of people stealing our ideas. So when someone steals your idea, they still have to go through the process. They still have to do whatever you have to do, even if they've got finances. Sometimes they struggle a lot because that thing doesn't come from them. So I realized that, okay, here people, when I speak, people listen. That's when I started realizing that we can, actually something big can happen here. So that's when I started taking it seriously and fully focusing on it.
And would you say that you had support from your family? I mean, being a honors graduate student, what was the response that I'm leaving school, I'm not going to go and seek employment, all of this money that you've invested into my schooling, I'm deciding to put into a business that I have no idea is going to make money or not. How was the response from your family?
That's a good one. I didn't see that one coming. Actually, with my family, they paid my fees for only the first year of my study, of which it was a long time ago. Since then, I've been the fundraiser up until postgraduate. So that's when I realized I can actually look for fund to come up with projects or partner with people and actually do business. Then normally when we go home during holidays, they ask, how are your studies? How are you? And all those things. I say, it's fine. Even if you know you fail quantum mechanics or statistical physics, you just say, oh, everything is fine. Then the payments, how are you coping? What are you eating? I say, don't worry about those things. Then I invited them for the first graduation. They came, they were surprised. Oh, they thought I was playing at school. Then I graduated, then I came to Joburg. I told them I found a scholarship or a bursary to further my studies in nuclear physics. Then since then, I haven't been in touch telling them what exactly I do. Because we come from a culture, most of us, we come from a culture where you don't have tangible or physical objects. You're not successful and you're not making it in life. So whenever I go home, I just say, I'm fine, everything is well, then we'll see what happens. So we chat less about the core things I do in my life.
So would you say that if you were to be upfront with them, that they wouldn't support your idea being a first-generation entrepreneur?
Okay, they were surprised when I told them I'm going to Rwanda, I've been to Russia, I'll be going to Germany soon. So they asked, where are you getting money? Are you loaded? What's going on? So I just tell them, this is what we do. I started my company. This is what we do, 1, 2, 3. So you're working for someone, electronics company? No, I'm not working for anyone. This is what we do. So that's the relationship I have with them. We hardly discuss core matters because as an entrepreneur, you need that isolation to sort out your things and yourself before you go out and show normal people what is this all about.
It sounds like you had a lot of wins in the early days, but we all know that that can't be the reality. I mean, were you paying rent on time? Were you finding the money to get to the meetings on time? What were some of the first challenges that you experienced in your earlier days? You almost didn't make it to Rwanda.
You know better. Okay, it's a challenge. It's something we really can't hide. I'm quite sure there's some of us here who are really hungry. They don't even know how are they going to get home, what are they going to eat, is there electricity at home and so forth. So, as we all know, they said no man is an island. So how we strategize about this, because I've never been on anyone's payroll since whenever. I've never been on anyone's payroll, I've never worked before. So how you do these things, it's amazing. I don't know. Some of my friends called me the survivor. So I've got 2 valuable core friends. Like we normally say, if you've never went through tough times with someone, they might be your friend. So what we did, one of our friends is working, and then there were 2 of us during that time, especially after 2013, late 2012, 2013 and 14. 14 was the worst one. So what we did, we said, okay, fine. We are in a dilemma here. As long as we have a roof, we can cover the rental, and then have the basics of which is your bread and water, sometimes nothing. Then we sort that out. Then we said, okay, fine. Let's focus on important things, because if we can do what we're supposed to do and do it right, then we won't be in this situation for a longer time. Then that's how we marshaled, and we ended up sourcing funds all over, not all over the show, but all over various partners and sponsors. So I can't disclose the amount, but we sourced quite a lot for product development, IP, and so forth. So adversity is just there to groom you and make you a diamond, I might say.
That's a beautiful comment. And Would you say that you were demotivated after, facing, I'm sure, rejection after rejection, for you to have had 5 tries to get into one program which you knew was what was going to take your opportunity to the next level? How did you know that you had an idea or a value that you weren't willing to give up on? What kept you going through those constant rejections?
I think rejection is there to fuel you. One thing. So one thing I've learned, one thing I've noticed, whenever someone rejects you, it basically means you're not doing something right. So you have to go and ask them, what is it that I should do so that I can meet your criterion? Don't say, these people or whatever. Just go back and talk to them. Not as a loser, as someone who wants to learn from that failure or from that rejection. Then from there you polish. Then you'll come okay. Then that's when they say, okay, fine, we can work on this.
And was your experience with these guys authentic? Were they ready to help you when you walked into the doors of various institutions? Was your experience, because I'm sure a lot of the entrepreneurs here would leave a session here today knowing that the development and support that's out there for entrepreneurs is a very real thing. But again and again, people get turned away. You'll find that they'll apply for various programs and they'll just get a receptionist who will tell them, sorry, our program is not for you. So was your experience of this something genuine that you'd be able to say there are some tips that you could give to the guys in terms of how to engage with these institutions?
I think one of the most important things is approach. We tend to be in an eggshell. What I mean by this, you become consumed in the things you do and forget that business is people and people do business with people they like. So whenever you approach someone, you must show you value them. Point 1. You value them, you're interested in them, you want to learn from them. You humble yourself. Then from there, that's when they can say, okay, fine, let's see how can we help you. That's my approach to that. So in terms of support, I think I've learned on the early stages, I've learned one of the most valuable things is funding. They normally say, even the minister said it, they say funding is not a problem, but the problem is we don't have, I don't believe I'm going to say this, we don't have quality entrepreneurs. So by quality entrepreneurs, they mean they focus too much on funding. They would say, I'm looking for funding to do this, give me R1 million, give me 500K, but they can't really go in the cracks of how they came about that amount, like the steps they took and so forth. So I think we should start focusing on non-financial services and financial services as an up-and-coming entrepreneur. Because non-financial services will teach you some of the things you need to de-risk yourself so that you can be fundable as an entrepreneur and as a business. So if you have both, then that's when people will say, okay, fine, let's sit, let's talk. I think.
And last year you were selected as one of the finalists to represent South Africa and Rwanda at this global investment podium. With this major buzz that's going around about doing business in Africa, do you feel the opportunities are real for you? I mean, you can't speak on behalf of a lot of other businesses, but do you find that the opportunities are there to get ePortchip into other African states? Do you feel that there's a real opportunity for SMEs to enter into new markets in Africa?
Funny enough, the past month we've been talking to MTN Ghana and what you call Orange, Botswana and Angola. So what we're planning to do is bundle our product with the contracts they issue or with their cell phones in those countries, because you get people with smartphones or cell phones in places where they don't have electricity, especially in those countries in Africa where the infrastructure development is still. So, so what happens is we spoke to them Then they're just waiting for the product, and once it's ready, then we can hit the tarmac and start negotiating.
Sounds like you're getting a lot of the moves right. What do you feel like you're doing different? Is there one or two particular techniques or different approaches that you took where you could say that based on your approach, you can see why you got the win compared to your competitors? Cool, calm and collected, huh?
I wish. There's a saying, they say you are an average of almost 5 people you spend most of your time with. So, the core people you spend most of your time with, you should always bounce around ideas. Talk about the things you do, and then leave the things you do, and do the things you leave. So by that, we spend most of our times discussing these things. How can we approach the hookup dinner, for example? How can we approach Standard Bank? Then one other thing is we network a lot. And our team is diversified. We've got an attorney, project manager, finance, and all those people around us. So when we bounce ideas around, we come up with strategies and way of doing things differently. So as you've noticed, we went to Rwanda, we were engaging with a lot of people, creating networks and being calm and doing all these things. So I think the most important thing is to have a good approach when you speak to people. Because as I said before, people do business with people they like, no matter how brilliant your idea is. If you're not a likable person, I mean, you'll say, okay, fine, we'll call you. Then that's it. I think that's the approach and the quality of people around me. And various organizations, including the Hookup Dinner, SAB Foundation, Technology Innovation Agency, the list is endless. So you have to be around people who really do things and make things happen.
Sounds like you've created a lot of your own luck. Would you say that you consider yourself lucky to be doing the work you do?
That's a good one. I've read somewhere they said lucky, it's the intersection between preparation and opportunity. So you should prepare and see the opportunity coming, then sit there and wait in the middle. That's where we say you are lucky.
Can we get a round of applause for that one? I think that was very good. And would you find that passion was one of the core elements to what you did when those days were dark and there was no sugar for your black coffee? Would you find that passion, what role did passion play in getting you through those moments? Let's give him a moment. Those days were long.
Have you been adapted to taking coffee without sugar now? It's a norm. I think the word passion is overrated, I think, and it's a function of many things. To be an entrepreneur, you end up in a state where you don't know what's actually driving you. Your body, your soul, and your mind are just there. There's this ghost that says, whether there's water or whatever, you have to go to Pretoria and do whatever. Just go there. Just make sure you are there, you meet those people, even if you are hungry. Do whatever you're supposed to do, then go home and face a noisy, empty fridge. So, I think passion, I don't really know a lot about passion, but I think there are certain forces beyond an entrepreneur himself that say, do this thing, do this thing, do this thing. Whenever you wake up, you gotta do it, and it should work. So the difference between us and people from the US is, we start with a backup. Okay, you got that. We start with a backup. You do your education and do all those things. so that you're in a position where whatever you do fails, then you go and look for a job. So in the States, when someone decides I'm going to play basketball, that's what they only do, and they will make sure that thing works. So that's one of the mentality I've adopted. So I think it works, because I said, okay, fine, this thing must work. If it doesn't work, there's nothing I can do besides making it work. So that's the approach I took to this.
Beautiful. And before we open up to the floor for questions, what advice would you give to another entrepreneur? I know it's a loaded question because as much of the successes that you can celebrate today, as you said, material a lot of the time, or rather success is judged by material wealth. But we can definitely applaud your efforts. And what is some of the advice that you would give to somebody looking to go into business? A man with all the answers.
That's a tough one. Advice. Okay. I think firstly you should, as a person, you should always start as a person. Everything starts as a person. You should know as a person what you want in your life. Firstly. Then once you're done with that, that's when you can start focusing on other things, because you know you're sorted. So you should, okay, the first thing in business or in entrepreneurship, you should solve problems. Because I don't remember ideas coming just being an idea for being an idea. You should solve a real problem. You should address a problem. So that problem is your meal voucher. Once you solve that problem, then you are done. So when you want to go into business, it's a tough one, especially for our employed brothers and sisters. Don't quit your job because you are fed up or you are tired of someone or your boss or anything. You should do these things for your own personal reasons. Because there will be a point where you say, let me go and look for my degree or CV and just go and knock again. So once you make that decision, you'll never go back to employment. So once you in. Head first, then do whatever you're supposed to do. Support is there. That one I can rest assured on that. Support is there. Our government is putting a lot of money to develop entrepreneurs. So all those government and private sector organizations, they are really there to help, not to turn us back. So, and the other thing is you should really, especially in business, you should sit and look at your books and know what exactly you're looking for. Because most of us, you find someone in technology and going to look for fund in fashion. So then they will turn you back. So you should really know what you're looking for. Then approach the relevant person. Then if you're not supposed to do something, don't do it. Don't be that particular person who's always looking for fund. I'm looking for funding to do this. I'm looking for funding to do this. Look at your business inside out or the other way around. Then start looking for funding. Then people will give you money.
Round of applause for Shalton.